Yeah, we're getting our money's worth out of this. Perfect and pristine, but I'm in there with like a stick and a rag, doing my best. Evan, how many water tanks do we have?
Just two.
There's two?
Excuse me, three.
See, now you're really messing me up, man.
Two holding tanks, but only one connected.
There's another holding tank somewhere. Fuel lines are set. We're gone with the A1 fuel lines, and everything is set up. It's actually got a proper return. Well, I've got all of my components stripped and cleaned. Now I'm starting to build the new fueling system for perihelion. Now, when we took this all out, it was really quite confusing, and I'm sure Evan knew how everything worked because he had it for 20, 30 years. He was in there every other day, kind of understood every little repair and every little thing that had been added to the system over the years. I didn't, and I felt like it was a good time for us to maybe start afresh. So we're not starting 100% afresh because we're trying to reuse as many of the old components as we can. All of the stuff you see here on this table could represent $1,000 or more worth of buying them all new. So if they're still in usable, good condition, that's not unsafe for us to use, then we will by all means use it. This is a super cute design. Never mind that the pump itself looks like a swastika, we won't get into that. But all around it, there's actually a mesh on the inlet side right there, you could just barely see. And this actually has a filter, and look how clogged up it, look how, like I've been scraping at this already for a minute. But this was completely gummed up. I've got like this, like, fuel leather that's come out of there. So that was really gross. This was actually still working. We actually used this to get the boat here. Yeah, we're getting our money's worth out of this. The feed and the returns are sorted now, so I'll just get all the PTFE thread on that, get the cables all connected, and then mount it properly, and we can go install it in the engine room. Oh, it's an American $1 coin. Silver dollar, it looks like. Cool. I'll text Evan and tell him I found his coin. But I'm down here because this is the topmost of my diesel tanks. So when I fill the fuel, it'll come into this tank first. I think there's actually a fill on the other side for the other tank. But they're all connected, and right now the lines that they're connected with and the fill lines are not good enough quality to pass muster. So they'll all have to be removed, and this tank is disgusting. I'm inside just trying to clear it out. I found a few points of corrosion that have me concerned that maybe this tank doesn't hold fuel anymore. I guess I will test that and find out shortly. But I think the goal for now is just to remove all the hardware and clean it as best I can. Luckily, it's a stainless tank, and I am a welder, so if it is damaged, I should be able to repair it. Unfortunately, to get it out, I would have to dismantle a good chunk of this berth here. And some of these plywood planks look like they come up, but not all of them. So it might not be as painless as I'd hoped. All right, I know it's not perfect and pristine, but I'm in there with like a stick and a rag doing my best. But we do have 2 massive fuel filters. So as the fuel moves through the system, we've got all new fuel lines going in. We got all new valves going in. And the tanks are as clean as I can get them. And then the fuel cleaner and just fuel itself and the filters will have to do the rest. But such and such. So now that that tank is clean, I ought to go check the others and move along. I am into what I thought was a second diesel tank. Got in here and found it to be a lot cleaner than the last one. And it doesn't smell terrible either. I'm not getting high off the fumes, so I decided to call up Evan on the FaceTime and ask him what's going on. Evan, how many water tanks do we have?
Just 2.
There's 2?
Oh, excuse me, 3.
See, now you're really messing me up, man, because I don't know how... Like, there's a lot of stainless tanks. There's 1 plastic tank. And then there...
The plastic tank is fuel.
Right, that's the lowest one. That's the one we've been using so far. We've never had enough fuel to load up any of the other tanks. And there's only 1 other fuel tank, and that's the one I just cleaned.
That's the one underneath the bunker.
Okay, so there we go. So we're down to 2 fuel tanks, and we got 3 freshwater tanks and 1 holding tank. Correct?
2 holding tanks, but only one connected.
There's another holding tank somewhere. Is that the one in the aft cabin? Yeah, okay, yeah, I've seen it. Well, either way, that's a problem for another episode. This episode, we're just trying to get these diesel tanks connected and cleaned and get that engine fired up. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
This job is the biggest job I've done yet. Not the most expensive job or the most complicated, but physically the biggest. This is 480 square feet of canvas. My back is sore just from pushing it through this machine, which is crazy. But this would be very, very challenging for the next chapter I'm thinking of, which is I'd like to run my business from my boat. Now that I own Perihelion, and she's going to be mobile, I want to start being nomadic, and that means I'd like to be able to work while I'm traveling, and that means I would like to probably do some stuff on the boat, and it's going to change the business significantly, so I got to keep my mind open as to what that's going to look like, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to miss this space, but I really am looking forward to getting mobile. It's going to be nice. Plus, there's so much junk in here. All right, I'm back in the bilge again. Trying to narrow down the last of the wires, clean up the last of it. I think I've got to a point now where almost everything can come out of here, including this. Do you see this tube? This tube is huge. This is like a 3-inch diameter tube. It runs the length of the entire boat practically. And what it used to be was a poor man's bow thruster, which never really properly worked apparently. There was a large pickup here on the port side that would scoop up 3 inches of water and shove it up the front where there was a large induction motor and 2 solenoids to pick which side to thrust out of, and had 2 more large through holes there, and it would just shoot out a jet of water at the like 1 or 2 horsepower that electric motor could put out. Turns out that it probably failed because it was only 1 or 2 horsepower, and most bow thrusters kind of start at 5 kilowatts, which is about 7 horsepower. So that's probably why it didn't work, because this is a pretty big boat, and trying to thrust it around with 1 or 2 horsepower probably didn't cut it. That and a water jet system, I have to imagine, is not very efficient compared to a proper bow thruster. Anyways, I'm going to yank this out, probably try not to pull my back out, and we'll continue along. If I can get this stuff clear, then maybe I can put a coat of paint, and I can put the new stuff in.
cable. Fuel line is up there somewhere. I'm gonna find my way up there somehow. This is the best access I got though.
Right, so after careful inspection, I've stripped all of the cabling out. I'm starting to put the new A1 marine fuel lines in, which are not cheap. By the way, Patreon links in the description. Holy moly. But we're doing the right stuff that we need for our survey in order to continue to have insurance on this boat. Now, neither fuel tank, then there's only two, neither have a return on them. So there are two diesel engines in this boat, both with fuel returns. I have no idea where that diesel was being sent. If it was being pushed against the pickup of the fuel, then it's been working against the pressure of that the whole time. Now that might be only a pressure of a few PSI, but still that it would probably, I assume, wear out the pumps over time. I don't know, whatever, making this up. But I did find a solution for the steel tank to add a proper fuel return so that the fuel return, the fill, the air vent, and the pickup are all separate in the tank so that nothing interferes with anything else. And that level of simplicity should allow anyone to come in, immediately understand the fueling, fire it up, and run my boat safely. Great? Great. Okay. So let's just go and install that fuel return. Okay, so we're in the engine room now. The fuel lines are set. We're gone with the A1 fuel lines and everything is set up. It's actually got a proper return. I've only got the forward tank plumbed in right now. Everything on the aft tank is okay, except for that I don't have a return on it. And so the pickup is too small and it has no return. So right now I'm just waiting on some parts to arrive for me to change that out. I'm also waiting on parts for the pickup on the engine, which uses one of these kind of clutch cable crimps, but unfortunately this one's crimped onto a cable that's undersized, so we're going to fix that. We're running 3/8 ID for everything. The manifold is good, and I think I'm going to opt to run all of my fuel lines above the cabin sole here, because the bilge is just inherently a dirty place, and if you have the option to keep things clean and keep things above board and keep things clear, you might as well go for it. I have enough space to run my fuel lines and returns all along the floor here, nice and close and very visible, which I like. It also means that the markings on these fuel lines will last longer, and someone down the road can see that they are A1 rated fuel lines and can see the diameter and everything else. And if I ever need to order anything and I haven't remembered that, then it'll be clear and obvious. The only things that are running under the cabin slope basically is the uptake for the fuel and the return for the fuel. Everything else will be up and about and clear and concise and clean, which we love to see. I'm also waiting on some fuel vent lines and a few other fuel lines, so we'll address that in the next episode. I'm waiting on the water pumps for the water system, and then I can start plumbing in all the water outs, the hot water, all of that other stuff. But you know what? As far as the tanks are concerned, we've got some good tanks. I did some leak tests on them, and they're well acceptable ranges of a few PSI with no leaks. The only thing that I was concerned with some degradation inside the tanks, turns out was just slag left over from plasma cutting the inspection hatches. So the welder, although not the best quality looking welds, they are holding. So that's all I need to see. Okay, that's it, that's all. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I guess I will see you next week on Friday for another episode where hopefully everything will have arrived and I can finish this part of the project. And if not, I'll be doing something else. All right, see you guys next week.